Hello, everybody. Welcome to the wackiest thing I've done all week for sure. It's Jeff Keeley. I am here live in core for a virtual panel about the future of live music, and of course, we got Joel here with his crazy, spectacular metaverse of all things Dead Mouse. This is a pretty cool space. Thanks for inviting us in, Joel.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
This is your digital home now, and we are so excited to be here. Talk about what you've been working on with Core and just kind of the future of where music's going and gaming and interactivity and everything. So we've got a panel here of some very special guests from around the world, but we are all together virtually here on the live stage. And I'll introduce everyone and maybe just tell us a little bit about yourself as we get into sort of talking about all this insanity. And I am, as you notice, I am just constantly dancing. I'm going to do this for the full hour. We're grooving out because we're having a good time. So we've got MXM Tune. We've got Joel Zimmerman, of course, Dead Mouse. We've got Jillian Rothman from Warner and Kale Moore from Wonderland Arts Society. MXM Tune. How are we doing? Great job on Life is Strange, by the way.
Thank you very much. I'm so excited to be here. It's going to be a fun conversation. I'm excited to hear what the other panelists have to say too.
I was gonna say this is like let's just sort of maybe start and tell people a little bit about everyone, your background. Like obviously we know you're all tied to the music industry in some way, but core music, gaming, all this stuff is coming together in such interesting ways. Maybe let's start with you, MXM. Tell us a bit about like what's the intersection of gaming and music in your world? Like what brought you here today?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so I'm MXM Tuner Maya, if that's a little bit easier for people to say. I know it's not a very easy username. But I actually think that gaming is probably the reason I am in music at any point in my life. Like, I was such an involved individual in the gaming sphere and realm, and a lot of the games that I played were really big introductions to the music taste that I carry to this day. So they've always been really intertwined for me. Mhm.
That is so cool. I love that you're doing doing Life is Strange, and I know excited about kind of the intersection of music and gaming. Um, Joel, I gotta say this is quite
Jeff, you
the.
gotta settle down. You gotta settle down.
I'm gonna keep dancing for the full hour, right? I'm burning calories in this
Jeez.
panel. I'm having too much fun. So this I had heard over the past year or two you were poking around. I know you were doing so much cool stuff with like Unreal and rendering out stuff for your show and the cube and everything, and you're always very technically minded. Um, this though is like so extravagant and cool and amazing. You've always been on kind of the bleeding edge of like gaming and music and technology and interactivity kind of being a part of everything you do. But this feels like you're kind of taking it to the next level. I imagine this is not just today, right? This is like your new sort of like a digital hub in many ways, right? For you?
Yeah, I mean, one of my friends has said it to death. It's like the Vegas residency thing, where this is going to be like my new home. You know, in all my little digital ventures. This is actually my first time seeing this Metapanels thing, and already my brain is like spiraling out of control when it comes to being able to like kind of host little cool in-game talk shows or stuff like that for content that just maybe even isn't has anything to do with me being in a studio or music and stuff like that. So this is all come together so quick, so masterfully done. I love it.
It looks so beautiful. This reminds me a lot of when I did the Star Wars thing in Fortnite. That was a couple years ago. JJ Abrams was the same kind of vibe of like everyone standing around, being actually talking to each other live, but we can emote. I put on my DM head. I can take it off. I can. We can all wave. Everyone want to wave to the crowd. Everybody wave. Say hi. Say hi to everybody watching. Hey, look at that. Love it. And that's why it's
So
just
dancing.
like you, Joel, I feel like we see this stuff and it's like just the hint of where things are going to go. And it's really exciting that we're all kind of here, able to just have a conversation with each other, but emote and have fun. Jillian, I'm sure your mind is also blown by the possibilities here, but tell me, like, what's your perspective on the intersection of games and music, and what are the possibilities in your eyes?
Yeah, I mean, my job is to be blown by whatever is going on. So I work at Warner's new business and ventures team, formerly known as Innovation and Emerging Technology. So this is what I get to do all day is find ways to bring music to interactive environments, to enhance gameplay and the gaming experiences with music, to bring our artists and music into the metaverse, and to build. I mean, music has always been a part of gaming. I mean, Jeff, it's like the game awards. One of the big categories is best score in music, so it's always been there. It's just we want to make sure that whatever the next iteration of it is, we're there.
Yes, and it seems to be the next iteration seems to happen almost weekly. I feel like with new things, coming online and new exciting ideas. But yeah, I think we're only at the tip of it. And as Joel said, when I see this, I'm like, oh, the possibilities exist to do more than just listen to music or dance. It's like we can actually have conversations and gather. And hello to everyone out there watching, both on Twitch and inside the game. Um, Kale, tell me a bit about your perspective on this. We're all blown away by the possibilities, but what's your kind of background and take on how games and music are intersecting or will intersect?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Mikhail Moore, I'm the managing partner at Wonderland Art Society. We are a management company, record label, and TV and film production company. So, I manage Janelle Monáe among other, music artists. And so, this conversation is something. Yes, we're in the Warner family. Shouts out to Warner. This is a conversation that's square in what we'd like to do, because we really do believe that the metaverse is the future of storytelling across the board. And as musicians and music artists, we try to endeavor towards storytelling. On Janelle's last album, we did a short film. But when I start to see worlds like this and what Joel's done, et cetera, I start to think about how you can build complete worlds and universes around music, artists, and music. And that's been always one of the frustrations, I think, for a lot of artists, is never having enough resources, time, and money to fully see their visions. And I think the metaverse
Yep.
provides a real opportunity to do that in a way that we've never seen before.
I think that's a great point. It's like, everyone has these ideas, but how can you translate them into reality? And I think one of the amazing things with Core and being powered by Unreal is like what you guys have built. I mean, looks truly spectacular here, and I think it's so easy for people to jump in and kind of have this digital Lego almost to sort of play with, to build that's one question I have for you, Joel, about this. It's like, I know the community has really built this with you. Like, I think people look at this and it's like, oh my god, this is just insane, the quality of this, and the art and the detail and all that. Like, can you maybe walk us through like what we're in right now? Like, how was this built? How long did it take? Like, was it easier than we'd think to make this?
Absolutely. Everything you see here was built in Core with the Core assets, basically through what I guess they would kind of call kit bashing. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of prefabs and stuff like that where, you can go into the create mode in Core and just literally start kit bashing. No real code knowledge required, unless you need it, in which case you can dive in a little deeper with Lua scripting and stuff like that to add, kind of game mechanics and game logic into your environment. But if you're just into world creation and modeling, or creating environments and stuff like that, all of what you're seeing here is all kit bashed. It's amazing. It's really great. So I've been struggling with UE for a number of years now, whipping up ideas and doing this and that. But I've always hit this one because game design, as I'm sure a lot of people know, is very compartmentalized, where you have specialists who do shaders, specialists who do lighting, specialists who do modeling, LOD stuff, and then that's just the surface. Under the hood, you have multiplayer support, player metadata, all this stuff. That's server replication. It's a nightmare. Which is why games, really great games, take 7 years and a couple hundred people.
Yeah.
So this really kind of is the most elaborate Lego set.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
think,
great.
and also it's going to keep evolving, right? I think that's kind of fun, is right. You have the space, and it's like not that it's shipped and it's done and it's on a disc. It's like, I imagine he said this is something new, and then in a couple weeks, I'm sure there'll be something new, and you can change up the theming and launch a new single or do a new show, as you said, sort of like a residency. that is always evolving. So yeah, I think it's so cool that you are on the bleeding edge as you always are about kind of what's next as a new way to kind of gather your fans globally, and sort of celebrate with them. Um, and XM, I'm curious to get your take on, you know, some of the stuff you've done and some of your plans in music. Like you just finished Life is Strange. It came out. If people haven't played it, really awesome. You did some original music for that. And that's a more traditional game, right? But has your music in it. Tell me about it. What are your plans kind of in the metaverse, or what are you thinking about having seen this and thinking about what you want to do creatively?
Oh my gosh, I mean, this is just blowing my mind. Like I remember actually very long throwback to one of Joel's original collaborations with Goat Simulator. I remember that being kind of my like first introduction to like, oh my God, music and musicians could be super involved with the gaming space. And so seeing it play out like this is just incredible. So it's really exciting. Like being a part of the Life is Strange project was really new for me. And I think the last year with the pandemic, Twitch streaming has been a huge kind of interesting point for me as a live musician. Trying to translate live performance to an online setting has been difficult and interesting and really rewarding too in the same way. And I think seeing something like Core, it leaves things so open ended. The fact that you can create these universes and have them online and really have this super interactive way of performance and live shows is it. There's like the possibilities are limitless. So it's almost like too much candy in a candy store to even like pick out what
Yeah.
thing I would like to focus in on. Yeah.
No, that's the thing is there's so many possibilities. And Jillian, from a label or artist perspective, I think I think people always are challenged with figuring out like what bin to put this in, because like is this a proxy for a concert? Is this another? Is it a forum for fans to gather? Is it a marketing activation? Like how do you guys look at? I mean, there are different ways to look at gaming, but how do you guys look at like what's out there and how people can use it to sort of? I mean, ultimately, it's to connect with their community and their fans in an interesting way, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think when we're thinking about partnerships in games and in the metaverse, I put it in sort of like four main buckets, two of which are a little bit more traditional. So, like, music can just add to and enhance gameplay, gaming experiences. They can also be a place where you find new music and discover and share artists. And none of those use cases are new. I mean, my sister and I like fully used FIFA growing up to be our tastemaker. That's how I discovered the Gorillas and Yerba Buena, and I know everyone discovered music through Tony Hawk Pro Skater too. So
Yeah.
that's not really new. But the two other areas that at least my team at Warner has been focused on for a few years, but they've only become a little bit more widely recognized by the industry, um, because of just gaming's total ubiquity these days, and the changing nature of it from sort of cartridges and consoles to these persistent interactive worlds are enabling music to be a part of your identity in the digital world. So avatar customization, emoting, finding, buying artist merch, playing artist specific games, and then also using games and the metaverse as a way to create these micro communities, these super fan communities. Um, I mean, gamers love music. The devoted gamers who spend 10 plus hours a week gaming also stream music two times more than the average streamer. So my
Yeah.
job is to find ways to get my artists and my musicians to connect with those fans and to find them in the metaverse. So that's those are the ways we're thinking about it right now.
Yep. No, I think there's so many different possibilities and ways, as you said. Mikhail, for your artists, like you said, there's so many ways in, as Jillian said. Like, how are people approaching it? Like, everyone probably has a different approach, but what have you found is like what's exciting to the creative community about how to like play with these worlds and what they can do?
Yeah, I think it's two things. One, building off what Jillian said. I think community is really at the core, no pun intended, of this opportunity, because one of the things that happened, especially during the pandemic, is that some of that opportunity to tour live disconnected some artists from their fan base, and so this kind
Yeah.
of gives you an opportunity for an always on, continuous opportunity to create, and I think also the opportunity to be interactive and to have the community as a part of building that world out. I mean, if you think about just kind of the idea of fan clubs, fan fiction, etc., the opportunity to kind of meld a music product as or music album as a kind of launching point for an ongoing conversation about a world that's being built by an artist is something that's very,
Yeah.
very, exciting, to the folks that I work with. And so people are really spending time thinking even deeper about the story behind their music, the story behind the community that they're trying to build, and the conversations that they want to have, and how they want to engage the community in building out in ways that they may have not even thought about the stories that they're telling.
Yep. Joel, what do you hope to get out of this? Like, I mean, obviously this is just fun for you to play around, but also give something to your fans. Like, what's your
Money. No, I'm kidding. No, it's I'm always looking for new venues and ways to do what I do without getting on a frickin' airplane. This is
Yep.
great. Like I could sit here all day on my ass, gain weight maybe. It's actually really great that I can have all of my tools, all of my toys, all of my tech in one room, because as a performer, man, like, well, at least in the electronic music thing that I do, I'm always on stage and I'm like, shit, I wish I had like my big 3090 computer, my cool touchscreen, all my synths, all this stuff up here so that I could just flow state, and play with the tools that I'm familiar with in the studio kind of thing. So maybe it's really niche for me because just I love tech and the more the merrier. But when that comes to touring, that's not happening.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
and
I mean,
I think
what's cool about that is that. Oh, I'm sorry.
no, go for it.
Oh no, I was just saying, yeah, I just wanted to double click on that and agree. Just watching my artists, the limitations of rehearsal, having everybody on the same page for that one time, and then doing that thing over and over and over again. This provides you an opportunity to remix, to play, to be in that flow state, like Joel said, in ways that I think are going to have the opportunity to create some
Yep.
amazing pieces of art.
I think that's what I get excited about because I look at the space right now, and a lot of the concerts that have happened, right, or virtual concerts, it's like it tends to be people playing their existing music, or just kind of running the music with some cool visuals alongside it. And to me, like the next layer, which I'd love to everyone talk a little bit about, is like the actual act of
And we were
creation, right? And as you
we
said,
were
Joel,
happy
it's
with
like
that
being
in the
able to actually,
90s on MTV.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I just think like now, this is the stuff where it can go to the next level, though, where you can actually be composing, building tracks in real time, right? And kind of like, working with the community. Do you get excited about that idea, Joel, of like actually like building music with the fans and kind of, I
Well,
mean, you've done that on Twitch
no.
for a long time, like composing with them, right?
No, music to me, like creation isn't a democracy.
Yeah.
If you gave like it's like well going into no offense, this is just a really bad analogy, but it's like going to a kindergarten and giving every kid a tambourine.
Right.
You're not gonna exactly,
Yeah.
walk out of there with Pink Floyd's The Wall. You know.
Yeah. Okay. So for
So
you, it's
it's
more
about
about,
well, no. I mean, this can be done, but it has to be done in a contrived kind of controlled way
yep,
where you can't make as many mistakes as you can as intended by the original creator.
right. And sometimes I feel like it's also the thing of like, hey, have the audience help vote on something, or like, exactly. Not everyone's got an instrument, right? But it's like, is there a way to kind of like build with the community? Or I imagine part of, are you going to use this space as a place to kind of like test music and get reactions from people, or like, how do you? Is it a
Oh,
focus group in a way?
yeah, absolutely. It's a kind of more like a little more along the lines of a focus group where it's like you are working on a
Yeah.
certain technology or a an idea and you're including the community in that. And of course there's like a million discussions and things going around all these like social media platforms is just like how do we make the fan feel more inclusive in the creative process even if it's just some passive plus experience.
Yep. Yeah, that's where I said I think there's something there, and no one's quite tapped into it yet. But I think there's like the opportunity, um, to, to build stuff and figure out. Is this something, Jillian? Also, we've seen a lot of artists like start to use gaming and gaming technology for like music videos and whatnot. And I think that's another thing that like partially because of the pandemic, but also like just the cost of doing music videos. Now we have these game engines. You think we're going to see more of that, of sort of like the visuals from these games powering kind of, the videos we see on YouTube and other platforms?
Yeah, I mean, I think like you can see it here. Like our artists and musicians are interested in experimenting, and
Yeah.
I don't think it's a surprise, at least to those of us on this panel, that a lot of when all these new articles are coming out about the metaverse, that the things they're mentioning are are game environments. So Roblox, Fortnite Creator Mode, Core, obviously. Um, like it shouldn't be a surprise to us that this is starting with this community. It has a long history of modding, of creating derivative works, of sharing their gameplay with their communities. um, my favorite mobile games, PUBG, started out as a mod. So
Mhm.
I think it's not surprising that we're seeing like some of the most creative minds, musicians, wanting to tap into this community of experimentation. And it's I mean, gaming for me is like the place where technology, art, and culture all intersect. And so I think there, of course, as more technology comes out, we are going to see the most creative minds, the Janelles, the Joels, the Mayas. We will see them all take advantage of it and do things that we didn't even think was possible when the technology was created.
IP lawyers right now are watching this and they're like, yes.
Well,
I
that's
actually
a
am a
good.
former IP lawyer. I'm a lawyer. I'm a recovering IP lawyer. So I will say, no, it is true. I think that's one of the challenges, though, right? But it's also, I mean, there's I have been called many things in my life, but one of the nicer ones was an eternal optimist. So it's definitely a challenge, but it's also an opportunity, because if we want our artists and we want our musicians and we want the industry to participate in this ecosystem, if we want to be part of the metaverse, then we do have to read these regulations and some of these codes. I mean, we have to find a way where we can ensure rights holders and musicians and creators get compensated and get credited, and that we can track it, we can report it, and we can do all of that, where we can also leave room for the creation of derivative works, for modding, and that is totally challenging. But I think I heard once in like a Freakonomics episode like 5 years ago that the best time for innovation and for creativity is it's usually sparked by people having to create within constraints. So I don't think we have a choice. We're going to have to come up with a way to do this, and I think it's we could call it a challenge, but we could also call it an opportunity.
Well, that was kind of leads into my next question. As you said, like music, we all love music, and I sort of see how music is used so effectively on like social platforms like a TikTok or whatever to sort of drive awareness and stuff. But in the gaming world, we all know, like if you're watching this on Twitch or other places, like gamers always freak out, right, about music. And it's like, oh, I'm going to get a DMCA. I got to turn off music in this game. I can't stream it or whatever. Joel, I mean, over the years, have been very progressive with sort of, owning your music, getting it out there, working with the community, building a lot of stuff that people can freely share. But is that one of the big challenges still right now, sort of when the sort of gaming and music worlds, it feels like, at least legally,
Well,
like a lot of creators want to do stuff, they can't.
well, the majors aren't going to love this, but that's why I love being independent.
Yeah.
Because it just really cuts out a lot of drama in my life when it comes to that. But the thing, there's a lot of like, I wouldn't say disinformation, but when DMCA is starting to be used as a verb,
Right.
that signals to me some kind of global ignorance on an already outdated digital millennial copyright act written in the 90s. You know what I mean? It's just like
Yep.
there's a lot of miseducation
No,
on
I
it, which is fine because not all musicians are lawyers, but most lawyers
yeah.
kind of were musicians, or at least in the music department. So, it's going to be an interesting space. There's going to be a little bit of strife right now, but honestly, I'm more focused on, kind of developing the tech first and get the framework in, do the cool tricks that we can do, kind of thing, to at least present throwaways and ideas that we just really don't really care too much about our IP, or the musician owns and locks and controls that property, and forward that as much as we can to the point where it just can't be ignored and new legislation will have to go in, because if anything needs an update, it's not the software, it's literally the Digital Millennium Copyright Act has to be rewritten.
Yep. Yeah, no, and that's it. I think there's so much confusion, and I know that even when I'm doing game awards or something, and people on Twitch are like, "I'm gonna get DMCA'd for streaming it," and it's like, no, it's cleared and everyone's fine. But
You
you're
say,
right, people
you say, you
confuse.
say. I'll tell you what. If you can tell me, if you can give me any subsection of it or what it even means, then maybe I'll take you seriously. But I say
Exactly.
ship it
No, that's why,
and
because
forgiveness, not permission.
as you said, it is just a verb, and people are like worried their whole channel is going to be shut down. Same thing as people, I would love to come and stream core, but once I enter, Joel's world, it's like I'm going to get shut down. And yeah, I think as you said, I love these worlds are so connected, and the absurdity to me is that on social media, it's like people see the power of these as marketing platforms, right? And I think if anything, maybe you could talk a bit about that, Jillian and Kale, but it's like the idea of, these games. This is where people are right now, and they can be really, they're effective marketing tools, right, to get music out to people, right? People to discover new artists.
For sure. Of course, it's effective marketing. It's a way to engage fans. It's a way to share and discover. But I do want to make sure that like artists and creators are compensated for their work. And that's why like my team specifically at Warner has been focused solely in this new area to ensure emerging platforms and new technology and startups and creators all have a way to use music. We're really active in Techstars. We just invested in Licked. We empower B2B partners like Adapter and SongClip to aggregate rights to make it like a one-stop shop to license new platforms, to license new creators. So it's not like I don't hear everything Joel is saying, but I think it's important to do both, to make sure that songwriters and musicians are getting credited, are getting compensated, but also that we're not living in laws that are decades old, that we're finding ways to work in the new world. And this will be incredibly important in the metaverse, because I think one of the coolest parts about the metaverse is that in order to sustain it, it's just going to need to be continuous, perpetual building of new content. And the only way to do that is to enable UGC and AI tools. And so we have to find a way to do that. But that's what my team is focused on, and we found great solutions. So Joel, let me know if you want to talk. We'll make sure you're happy. But so I think I definitely
No, I'm
Signed
good.
to
I
Warner.
got
Breaking news.
I got my own label. I'm good. I'm good.
okay. But so it's all finding the right balance, but not being scared of it, not being caught flat-footed. Being proactive.
And Maya, as an artist who has really, I think, emerged through this sort of internet culture era, streaming. Like, I'm curious for you, as you've been kind of building your career and figuring out how you're releasing your music and putting out there, and things like we know so many artists have built off of SoundCloud and other places. Like, what's it been like for you to kind of navigate this world of someone who you're incredibly talented, write a lot on your own music, but how do you get it out there to people? How do you market, use games? Like, what's been your experience of sort of so far? Like, have you been frustrated, or have you found like it's actually pretty easy to do this?
I think it's not easy. I think it's a grind, like everything is. Similarly to Joel, I just really appreciate being independent. I think that's a really core pillar to my existence as a musician thus far, and the ability that I have to share my music online. Like, I don't know, maybe it could change down the line, but for right now, I think that's been a huge part of it. And one thing that I think that the internet has just played a huge part in my trajectory thus far as a musician has just been the amount of content that I think you put out online in the course of making things. Like, I was making music on SoundCloud, I was streaming on Twitch, I was making videos on YouTube. So I think the kind of developing multiple verticals that I could share my individual and self and art online was really kind of the core, no pun intended again, of what allowed me to continue to have a job. So I don't know. I'm still fairly new. I've been working in music for around 3 years now. I still know very little, and I'm trying to figure it out as I go. But seeing tools like this being implemented is just like another, I think, form of being able to share your music with an audience that you might not have tapped into yet. And video game space is like definitely a huge portion of audience members in a market that is very there for music and consuming it. Mhm.
Yeah,
Curious to get you.
oh, sorry.
No, go for it. Okay.
No, I was just going to say, one of the things that I'm
Raise
excited
your
about, I think
virtual hand, so I know you want to talk.
yeah, I'm not controlling my cowboy down there. I think Jillian, I think said something earlier
Dance away.
about,
There you go.
about identity, and I think that that's a very interesting thing. As we start to talk about the future of music artists and the future of community in the metaverse. One of the things that I think has been restrictive in specific genres is always been about like how you look, how you present, what you have on, what you don't have on, etc. So one of the things I'm really excited about is the idea of like launching new artists in the context of the metaverse and building careers in the metaverse, and them building the personhood that they want, whatever that looks like, however it presents, and allowing their music to talk through that is something that's super exciting to me. I mean, you see there's a show I think right now on Fox or something like that where there are avatars that people are singing through. You have people like Little Michaela, who have 3 million followers on Instagram, et cetera. One of the things I'm thinking about, what does it really mean to build a world and start a world in the metaverse from a musical standpoint? So it's something that's exciting to me.
Yeah, I think that's a great point about like what is the metaverse, what's the experience, what's the journey with fans, and also the other thing that I think is important to talk about is the interactivity, right? Because these are games, and I think sometimes I look at like social spaces that people can go to, and then how do you put a game around it? And I'm curious, Joel, like for this space, for you, it's a gathering, it's a hub, but you think about like what's the gameplay, like where is that going to go? Like how important is the actual like gamification of the experience to you versus the social aspect?
Well, I mean, it's there. Obviously, we can agree that all gamers are fans of music, but not all music fans are fans of games. We know this. It's the way I've been kind of doing it is I'm my meat and potatoes. My mainstay now is pushing forward technology to enable me to avatar access and deliver my music via protocol live in real time, whether it's going to involve peripherals like motion capture, um, keyboards or synths and touch OSC and stuff like that can then pipe into that to just at least digitally represent myself in a way that's replicatable across a wide network through using Unreal Engine with multiplayer and stuff like that. Once that step's done, right, we then kind of agreed like, hey, well, how is this going to live when I'm not here? Because I'm not going to be performing 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So the idea of mini games kind of came in, and of course, the wonderful people at Core, slapped together a few mini games that we could kind of participate in, and then they one up that by having scavenger hunts through all the various environments and stuff like that. Now, again, that's not inclusive to the artist, but it's some kind of activity to do that can then generate things that have like tangible prizes or something like that. So you go around Oberhasli through the different other worlds, and you find the scavenger hunt. And then once you find all those items, right, you keep it obviously inclusive and easy for everyone to do. But then once we have all that information from all the player data that all these people, say 15 out of 40 people found this certain item or something like that, then we can include them in a real world sweepstakes where it's like, oh, here's a ticket to a show, here's a shirt, here's a fucking whatever, and that's been really cool to gamify certain aspects. But you always got to kind of keep in the back of your mind, like I said, gamers love music, music lovers don't necessarily always love games. So it's a matter of I don't even know what the right adaptation.
Yeah, I think
getting it out there on a lot of devices. And
I was going to say, like, to me, part of it is like, what is a game? And I think sometimes people think of games as like always having intense challenges to them or like a battle royale or whatever. And I found some of these, interactive concert experiences, just even light touch interactive stuff, right? Where you can sort of like just, change the lights in the scene or just kind of like do something and interact and make a sort of playable experience. As you said, the mini games, like that kind of stuff, I think is good. Not that anyone wants to go into a FPS game as you play, or you listen to one of your songs, but I think that idea of having this kind of, interactive music video,
Yeah.
like, do you see that? I mean, you're
that
so,
might, that might be something for some groups, like a sweaty, high skill kind of game designed for gamers, but has that inclusive element of a performer in it. Sure, there's a place for that, but that's not going to accommodate, that's not going to hit the whole board. That's just going to, this small section. really, what gets me the most excited is what we're looking at and how we're interacting right now is the future of obviously games as they progress in technology and GPU power increases, CPU power, and they look better and better and better. We're also looking at the future of film and television and all this stuff. It's just like we're in proto 2060. Look at Neil Blomkamp's Oat Studio stuff that they're doing in Unity. Okay, that's almost feature film quality. I mean, some of that shit was hastily put together, but The Mandalorian, same engine that we're in right now. It's like absolutely nuts. The tech that's available, but needs to be widespread, more adopted by the public and stuff like that. And it'll happen. Just it'll take a little bit. So being ahead of the curve, or on the curve for that matter, is a really nice place for me to be.
It's a future of storytelling in every medium, right?
Yep,
Yeah,
exactly.
I don't
said,
know if
all
you
these
guys
worlds
remember.
are converged.
Sorry, Jeff.
Go for it.
No, I was just gonna say, I don't know if you guys remember, it was even pre-pandemic. I think it was during an earnings call, a Q&A or something. Reed Hastings, the Netflix CEO, said that Netflix competes with and loses to Fortnite more than it does to HBO. Because I think the future of entertainment, and this is something that the team I'm on at Warner has believed for a long time and has been, getting ready for. It's nonlinear, it's participatory, it's always on. And yeah, I mean, it's like what Janelle is doing, like connecting stories and worlds with fans and with new communities. And so, Mikhail, I mean, you're on top of it too. We recently did an event in Roblox with 21 Pilots, and it was interactive, and it also actually kicked off their in real life tour. So it was set in a world that they've created as part of their long history of storytelling. So the thing that makes me so excited about the metaverse is that it's not a social media platform the way we experience social media today. It's not like, wait, let me pause my life so I can take a picture of this and share it. Like we're living in it. It's happening around us, and we get to shape and change it. Like we can all jump up and down right now in core. So that's what's really cool to me about the technology and the things that are
See
coming.
me jumping?
Yeah.
See, Jillian, look at me go. I'm
Exactly.
jumping.
See, Jeff?
Let's all jump. Come on, let's jump. Let's jump, everybody. Yeah, here we go. Come on, Joel,
Which
you
one
gonna
is my
jump?
job? The space bar? There we go.
Space bar, yeah.
No,
Do what
Joel
you
is
tell
just
me.
drinking his coffee.
Yeah, Joel's
You
like,
don't
screw these
I know.
guys.
I feel like this
Jump
is
with
such
a
You're not
full
allowed
cup
to
of
jump in my
coffee, a
house.
steaming cup of coffee.
Steaming cup of coffee as you jump. That's not only in the metaverse it's possible. But yeah, I agree. We joke, but yeah, I agree, Julian. Like there is so much possibility to think about what people are going to kind of do with these spaces. And I think the cool thing with Core is how efficient and economic it is to be able to build this, right? Because I think a lot of artists, and this is independent artists, it's like, oh, I would love to build some crazy cool thing in Unreal Engine, but it's like, how do I do that? And the fact that the community, Joel, you've been able to team up with these fans and really build this, and they're really good, as you said, is amazing. Like how much we're in a UGC kind of world here in Core. Like Joel, when you think of this space and how it grows, like, are you gonna let your fans kind of define like where they take it and what they kind of kit bash, or like how do you see your role? Are you a curator of this? Are you just going to let it run wild? Like where does it go?
Well, I think the mainstays, the features, the big polished things, of course, will be curated to some degree. But a lot of this has actually come from the inspirations of from the community, the other core developers and builders and world builders and stuff like that. There's a really good example of one of the dystopian worlds that was done by an 18-year-old woman who just literally played around with it on the third day of an 11-day contest and then knocked out something so beautiful that we included it in the music video. So it's very inclusive of that, where it's not hard to learn and kit bash and build things that we could then all look at as a community and say, that would be really cool. Let's hook you up with this other person who's a Lewis scripter and can add some cool game logic to this. And yesterday on opening, I got in. We had a big Discord going on the Mouse Discord, and we were all talking, and we came up with some like really great ideas. Oh, it'd be cool if. And now I've got 2 weeks worth of kit bashing to do, and learning myself, because I'm I don't know, an aspiring developer, I guess, and I like to experiment and learn and modify systems, just like kids have been doing with Grand Theft Auto and Counter-Strike and Arma. All the greatest things in the world have come from some of the biggest properties actually in gaming have come from kids who just kind of came in and broke something, took it apart, and made it sometimes not better but different, so our ears are definitely open. We're not, I shouldn't say that, but we're listening to the community.
That's cool. No, that's the possibility here, right? I think of kind of like where this is going to go, thinking of where the community can help direct it. And you mentioned shows and concerts, and I'm curious, Maya, your take on this. I mean, I know you've been doing some kind of virtual video shows, things like that. Connecting with the community. Where do you see has there been this kind of like pandemic bubble? Do you think where like now live shows are starting again, like people are gonna not want to do this game stuff? I see it as kind of complementary, but I'm curious, like for you as an artist, Maya, like how do you see gaming and virtual shows and all that? How does that fit into kind of your vision of
well, for me
artist, where you wanna go?
personally, it's a no-brainer. I'm very forward thinking when it comes to utilizing game engines, just due to my innate nature of loving games and stuff like that. And I can't speak for other artists, but I can imagine maybe not all of them are or have any idea. But I see it as a parallel. I don't really see it as the takeover. There will always, you'll never be able to virtualize the idea of getting in a car and getting in with your friends, driving to a venue, getting lost, and then being human, having the human experience, and because outdoor venues and concerts and stuff like that will always be a thing. You can't. I don't give a shit how good the tech is, how great the engine is, and if we have 20,000 people concurrent in a single server, it's still not going to replace going outside. The graphics are way better, and really good frame rate and all that. But there definitely was a pandemic panic when the heads that the power that be slammed down the hammer and said, "Fuck you, kids! You know what? No more music for a year, live music." And there was a panic. There was a legitimate thing. And what was really interesting was the timing on some of these things that really pushed it forward. Was that say the Travis Scott thing in Fortnite that was being produced before anyone even knew what a COVID was. So it was going to be a sideshow, but it just fucking nailed it. Like their timing couldn't have been better, right? For the upsurgence of, oh shit, how do we do this? I want that, that kind of thing. I know nothing about it, but I want to do that with my artist, or as an artist, I want to do that with my shit. And then what happened was there was this fear of God that was struck into them when they started to get quotes from all these vaporware companies, that just spun up from the darkness out of nowhere with millions of dollars in investments of them. And we're gonna make virtual events, and it's gonna cost you this much to do this because there's no existing framework, for this kind of thing. And we're looking at it now. Core being, a very
That's
one
what I
of
said.
the
I think
first.
it's like realistic, as you said, for you could come build your core world. And as they said, like the Travis Scott thing was a massive production, right, at Epic, and was very expensive. I think when you look at the opportunity cost of them building that out, which was amazing, but that's why I think we've only seen one or two of those things a year, right, at that scale.
And it's a property issue too. I mean, like, look at, like, no disrespect to Epic, of course, because holy shit, I get fired in a minute. But like, they wanted to draw people into the Fortnite world. You're in their property. Same with Roblox. Roblox will those acts are disposable to them. They're just bringing attention to their property, So now I keep hearing the word metaverse being thrown around the fucking panel like it's going out of style, and it kind of fucking is, because that's kind of inherently not what a metaverse is. Everyone's got their own island. and we're that's our version of the metaverse. I'm like, you keep using this word, I don't think you understand what it means, but whatever, let's keep using it
That's
because
a good
we
point.
haven't thought of anything better, you know.
But just like websites,
Well,
right? Where everyone's got their own kind of.
What word should be used?
I don't know. It's a good one to use. I'm not saying it's I'm such a grammar Nazi on this, but like it's just a strange thing for me to hear, because I remember a lot of like, old money feet on desk kind of execs over at this and that, and they're saying, hey, can I take my Fortnite character and put it in Roblox, or can we do that thing where you have this, you buy this virtual item and it's interchangeable between all these platforms? And fuck no, dude. These are two entirely different game engines, much less two different properties, and then all the legal paperwork that has to go from that. So it's like, while I appreciate the idea of having this utopian society with one game engine, it just makes no sense. And the same is starting to apply for, well, I have this artist is bigger than Christ, right? And they want this online presence. Now it's like you got to literally shop around these properties to find out which one is going to bring them the most of whatever they want out of it. Whether it's going to be technology, it's going to be accessibility for them to present their art, or it's just simply going to be a fucking numbers game.
Well, and I think maybe I'll wrap up on this, a question of like, is there a dream artist or a dream kind of person that you hope starts to play in this world, or what do you get excited about? Like, obviously you guys have done cool stuff, but like, the Travis Scott thing was cool. Ariana Grande did a thing. You've done things, Joel. Like, I mean, there are all these people doing it. Like, anyone have any sort of like, the next crossover is when this artist does this in this space, or like, what do you think what would you love to see in the next couple of years?
I want to see one develop and grow and be invented in this space, without having any pre-existing property. That would be the sales pitch of the year for me. In terms of artist development and stuff like that. Now, not to say it hasn't been done, cool. like Hatsune Miku or all the Vocaloid stuff. Great, really big properties and all that stuff too. And again, totally invented by a bunch of fucking neck-bearded fucking dudes who love that kind of shit, and that was really awesome and successful. But it felt like the window wasn't quite there for that kind of thing. Oh, at least in North America. Right, because we know this fucking cartoon chick is fucking selling out arenas in Asia. You know what I mean? But it's fucking crazy. So my dream artist would be a complete invention, Labello Blanco, nice. No standing on the back of giants kind of bullshit in a metaverse, as it were.
Amazing. I'm with you on that. That would be pretty dope. Jillian, Maya, Mikhail, anyone?
Yeah, I mean,
I think
this is not. Sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Jillian.
We at the same time. My answer to that is probably like a little bit of a cop out, but it's I don't have my dream is not for there to be the next like huge act that does the next kind of Travis Scott thing. My dream is actually kind of the opposite. It's that I think these tentpole events are awesome. They're exciting. They are, just like Joel was saying, ways to, attention to new platforms, new experiences, new technology. Hopefully it also drives incremental revenue and new discovery for our artists too. But my dream is kind of on the complete other side of the spectrum. I want to completely democratize it. Like, I want every artist and every piece of music to find a way to participate in the metaverse, whether that's because everyone can have their own little island or their own world, or if we find a way to share and discover music within these worlds. So it's my dream is kind of the opposite. Like, I think these big tentpole events are still going to get attention. They're still going to be, they're still going to be really exciting. But I think the novelty is there. It's exciting, but I think it's way cooler if there are persistent worlds that you can go in and discover something new there tomorrow. Whatever the Tower Records is of the metaverse, like, that's what I want to build.
Yeah. I love that. I think that's really awesome to think. Is it not a one-off stunt, but something that becomes more persistent?
No.
Kale, any last? You get the last word.
No, my MX, you should take it.
Thank you. I mean, I don't really have a whole lot to add, so I'll leave some space for Mikhail. I think that I like Jillian's ideas. I think those are awesome. I was going to bring up the Hatsune Miku idea as well. I think it's really interesting to see complete individuals that are just brought from a space of technology and find massive audiences the way that Miku has throughout her existence as a Vocaloid. That's just so unique. I think seeing that happen again would be really interesting, especially in a Western space. I mean, we haven't seen something like that happen in America, not in my at least understanding. So there's definitely space for that.
Great point. All right, guys. Well, thank you
Neat.
so much for
Thank you.
hanging out. Joel, we're just gonna constantly see you here. We'll have to keep coming back, and this has been fun. Now you got your own talk show. I love it. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for watching. Back to all things core.
Thank you.
Dance away. Jump around.